Hello, welcome to the Sutliffian Report. Today we have some incredible stuff to get into. I didn't expect to be here alone, but it looks that way to start with. So we'll see who shows up. This is going to be an interesting day. I have a lot prepared, and one of the reasons is I took an extra week off to see if I could add a few more things. I've been talking about jihad for too long. And I say too long because it is the gift that keeps on giving. Islam just keeps on giving, and we wish it wouldn't. That's the honest truth. I'm going to start with a reading from God's Word, and we will just get into it because there may be a full 2 hours of material, and there's a slim possibility I will not get through all of this week. If we don't, we will do our best to get things going on Thursday. I'm not sure where I will be, if I will be here or someplace else next week, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, this is going to be, it's going to be this. What I'm going to present for the scripture is going to be contradictory to the topic of jihad because we're talking about the Bible. We're talking about Christianity to begin with, and that's why we're doing this show. As Christians, we want the truth to get out. We want people to know that there is something different than Islam out there. We want people to find that Christianity is a gift that keeps on giving, and it's giving you love. Unexpected, unearned love. So let's look at Matthew 5:7-9. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are the merciful. Who are they? They are those people we see in distress and desire to render some aid to help make the distress less. They are those who have a compassionate heart. To have mercy or compassion, you must have love. Jesus set the perfect example of being merciful in that he gave his life so that we might have life more abundantly. That's John 10:10. John 13:35 says, by this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if you have love one to another. We are to be examples of the love of God. This God who loves us so much that he came to save us. Blessed are the pure heart. Our hearts can only be pure if they are washed. That's Jeremiah 4:14. It is not like we can do this on our own. Psalm 73:13. They are stained with our sins. Only Jesus can wash our hearts. He does this when we make a choice to follow him and make him Lord of our lives. Only by having Jesus wash our hearts can we see God. Blessed are the peacemakers. Matthew Henry, the great commentator, put it this way. The wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable. The blessed ones are pure towards God and peaceable towards men. Think about the order of these beatitudes: meekness, hungering and thirsting after righteousness, mercy, pure in heart, peacemakers. This is a progression of the work of God in you and me. Once we admit to ourselves our inability to save ourselves, we start to hunger and thirst after God. We ask for his forgiveness. He gives us mercy. He makes our hearts pure. Only then can we be peacemakers and not be easily offended. Now, as I said, this is quite the opposite of what we're going to get into today. And this is going to be probably a surprise for some. I've put what I would say is years worth of research together. And I'm not kidding when I say years worth of research. And let's get this up here. Here we go. Yay. Working. Sorry, guys. I should have changed out my keyboard to the quiet keyboard, and I haven't done that yet. All right. We're going to be talking this week about jihad, which means to war against non-Muslims. Now, let's be honest here. Are all the Islamic scholars stating this? Are they saying jihad is to war against non-Muslims? Let's take a look. So let's take a look on their twist, the modern twists on jihad. I'm sure you've heard it.
Jihad is a misunderstood term, and most people refer to jihad as being holy war. But actually, jihad in Arabic literally means to exert oneself to struggle. Within Islamic lifestyle, jihad is a struggle to find peace. It is striving to rid oneself of evil. And so there's an internal jihad, there's an external jihad. Anytime a Muslim is struggling against evil and trying to establish peace and goodness in his life, then this is what jihad really means. There is no literal translation or no literal use of the word jihad to mean holy war that you'll find in any text of Islam.
I would probably have had kidney failure if it was not for Medicaid.
The real issue is confronting the jihad.
Jihadist sympathizers.
The world of jihad.
When I first hear the word, I get defensive. Like, no, it's not what you think.
I sort of seize up. It's kind of upsetting.
A very grossly misunderstood, misrepresented term.
It's always paired with images of suicide bombers and war and large terrorist acts.
Essentially a harnessing of narratives of the other that we can turn into whatever we want to.
It's a Muslim's duty to go and start killing people. And it's that's not what it's about at all.
Come on, do you know what Google is? You can find out. The word jihad comes from the Arabic word jahad, which literally means to struggle. And that's all that it really means.
A process where an individual takes on themselves. They're dealing with their own internal vices.
The fight against the human tendency for selfishness. Jihad mostly was a spiritual thing, was an internal thing of overcoming obstacles that you go through.
The struggle to just be a better person, to be a better Muslim.
Waking up in the morning, I could be like, yo, it was a total jihad to get that girl's phone number.
I think I couldn't have picked a better ending for this piece here. And let me have to escape again so I can get to the next page here. All right. Oops, sorry. Here we go. So, did they use deception? What does Sharia say? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. And this is going to be an important statement. Did they use deception? We have to find out. Did they tell us lies? Because this is what you're seeing all over the Western world. But it's not what's all over the Muslim world. How do I know that? Well, what happens when Muslims talk to Muslims? Do they say, oh, my jihad is my struggle? Is that what they're saying when they talk to each other? These are the things we have to look at. What do they put in their own scriptures? What did they put in the law regarding jihad? And that's what we're going to look at. If they use deception, just like I tell kids today, I tell younger people in their 20s and 30s, if you're getting news or 40s, if you're getting news and it tells you lies, don't use that thing again. Don't use that source again. Burn it. Don't ever go there before, because you know why? They're just going to give you more lies. So let's have some fun. Let's find out what the truth is. And here we go. This is the law. This is Sharia. It says, jihad. It says jihad, 9.0. Jihad means to war against non-Muslims and is etymologically derived from the word mujahada. Wait a minute. Did that last guy lie? Yes, he did. He said it was from jihada. Oh, he left out the MU. Why did he do that? Oh, to war against the non-Muslims, because mujahada signifies war to establish the religion. Oh, so they didn't want you to know that. Now, let me tell you why this is blacked out in this section here. I went back, I copied it and put it in, and I want to explain why that was blacked out. It says, and it is the lesser jihad. As for the greater jihad, it is spiritual warfare against the lower self, which is why the prophet said as he was returning from jihad, we have returned from the lesser jihad to the greater jihad. Guess what? Notice there's no scripture here. There's no citation here. There's nothing to support a lesser jihad. There is no scripture to support it. So, this is a problem. Now, we could actually have just deleted all of this because this is all a note. But if you look down here, it says the scriptural basis for jihad prior to scholarly consensus is such Quranic verses as fighting is prescribed for you, Quran 2:216. Slay them wherever you find them, Quran 4:89. Fight the idolaters utterly, Quran 9:36. And you'll see this over here on the right. You know what I found interesting when I was looking at these verses? Almost all of the verses on jihad that are in this section today, I find it interesting. The Arabic got the citations wrong. I have a lot of questions regarding that. But I went back and I'm looking at it like this is a problem. And here it's quite simply put, okay? They don't have the note. They're not saying it's a note. It says it is fighting the infidels. Who are the infidels? They're non-Muslims. Jihad is derived from mujahada, which means to fight and establish a religion. It's that simple. All right, so this whole piece here, this is why this all got blacked out. All right, it's not there in the Arabic. Why did they add that? Oh, so you can have these, cutesy sayings. When it's not there in the Arabic, that really says something. All right, let's keep going. In such a hadith as the one related by Bukhari and Muslim, the Prophet said, I have been commanded to fight people until they testify there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, and perform the prayer and pay zakat. If they say it, they have saved their blood and possessions from me, except for the rights of Islam over them, and their final reckoning is with Allah. So, if you are not a Muslim, the Muslim has been commanded to fight people until they testify there is no God but Allah. This is speaking that they're supposed to be fighting against you, me, and anyone else who is not a Muslim. This is a problem. Now, pay real close attention because they're actually saying there's a war against Muslims as well. And this was supposed to be the first war in Islam. You notice this part about perform the prayer and pay zakat. The first war in Islam is considered the Ridda War, the apostasy war. And this gets interesting, and I'll explain why. The first war was all about prayer and zakat. No. That's what they say it was about, prayer. But you know what they discovered? They really weren't. They didn't have a need to fight. about the prayer. They went, all these people got up and went and prayed to Allah. This is recorded in the series, okay? These people would get up and go and pray. What they didn't want to do was pay money to Abu Bakr. They didn't have a problem giving money to Muhammad, according to the series. This is the issue. They just didn't want to submit to Abu Bakr. That's the histories, the Islamic histories. That's what they say. Zakat, he wanted it. So he killed many Muslims to get the money. It records that they were going and performing the prayers. Okay. If they say it, they have saved their blood and possessions. So they're willing to kill you and take your possessions, except for the rights of Islam over them. And their final reckoning is with Allah. So you're going to die, and you're going to have your few moments with Allah. And he's going to send you to the third hell. If I remember correctly, yeah, the third hell. You get to go there. Third or fourth, I'm not sure which. To go back and look at what Osama did a teaching on. To go forth in the morning. It says in the hadith reported by Muslim, to go forth in the morning or evening to fight in the path of Allah is better than the whole world and everything in it. Details concerning jihad are found in the accounts of the military expeditions of the Prophet. This is what I'm talking about, the seerahs. You have to go and read the seerah. All right, the Seerah al-Rasul is considered the most authoritative one, but there's a problem. It's the earliest one written. However, do some reading into this history. Who actually wrote this? I mean, Ibn Ishaq is supposed to be the one who has written this. When you do more history and more learning on this, you find if that's the best they have, the best biography they have, it's not very solid. But that's what they're going to. So we go there too. And you know what? You're going to find a lot of war there. Then I suggest buying a book on the wars of Muslims. There is no peace. The only peace, we're going to get into that today. We'll be talking about when peace comes. But there is no peace until we get to this concept of truce. And we will talk about that today. All right, go back to go forth in the morning or evening to fight in the path of Allah is better than the whole world and everything in it. Details concerning jihad are found in the accounts of the military expeditions. We already said this, including his own martial forays and those on whom he dispatched others. Ooh, so sometimes he didn't even go himself. He dispatched others. This is your leader. This is your perfect man. He sends others and he doesn't go. How many times did he actually go? Now you got to start asking yourself, is he a military leader, a spiritual leader, and a military leader? I guess it's possible. I mean, we have King David, and he was a mighty warrior. Okay, we can say that. It still leaves you asking questions. Let's go on. We're still reading Sharia. The ones he personally attended, some 27. Others say 29. Notice he attended does not mean he fought. He fought in 8 of them. Oh, he goes to 27 or 29 and he only fights in 8. And killed only one person with his noble hand, it says. Ubay ibn Khalaf at the Battle of Uhud. On the later expeditions, he sent others to fight, remaining himself at Medina. All right. Medina is the later name. We'll be talking about this. Hey, welcome back, Rad. And I've got to get my, here we go. This was the first one in which he went out with, I'm going to read this part down here where the yellow is, okay? And in this second, he didn't go out himself, but sent someone to fight while he remained in Medina. This is important to note. Again, When David, I'll say this, when King David doesn't go, King David gets himself in trouble. All right. This is important to notice. If King David got himself in trouble when he didn't go where he was supposed to go, what is this guy doing? He only goes a few times. King David led almost every time. And the first one he decides he's not going, and he ends up engaging in some very illegal acts. I'll say illegal because to do those acts in Judaism are crimes. He was supposed to be punished, and he was by God. So you can't compare these two. So let's look at the scriptures. Quran 2:90. Evil is what they have purchased by themselves, that they become infidels by what Allah has sent down out of envy, that Allah will send down from his bounty on whom he wills from his servants. So they have incurred wrath upon wrath, and to the infidels a disgraceful torment. Oh, so torture. Oh, this sounds like terrorism. And who's doing it? Allah. This next one. Oh, whoever was an enemy to Allah and his angels and his messengers and Gabriel and Michael, so surely Allah is an enemy to the infidels. That's in chapter 2 also, 2 verse 98. Okay. And engage in war for the sake of Allah against those who engage in war against you, and do not transgress. Surely Allah does not love the transgressors. That's 190. Now we get to 191. And kill them wherever you find them, and get them out from wherever they got you. And this addition is worse than the killing. And do not engage in war with them at the forbidden mosque. We have a problem here, Houston. A mosque is forbidden. Why would any Muslim go there? It's haram. Better yet, the haram mosque wasn't built till long after Muhammad died. How did he write about it? These are facts. They're not made up. All right, let's keep going here. And do not engage with a forbidden mosque until they even engage in war with you. So if they engage in war with you, so kill them. Likewise is the reward of the infidels. That's, again, Quran 2, 190, 191. How about this one? War is decreed to you, and it is hated by you. And perhaps you may hate something, and it is good for you. And perhaps you love something, and it is evil for you. And Allah knows, and you do not know. Wow.
That right there, pardon me for interrupting, but that right there is a tell-all verse.
Yeah.
Think about what this is saying. This is saying to people that really don't want to go out and fight and kill and die because they got better things to do. You know what I mean? Like live their lives, take care of their children, tend their flocks. But here Allah is saying, no. You see, you love that thing, but that's evil for you. You love peace, but that's evil for you. Instead, what is good is to go out and war and do the jihad. That is
and I
good
haven't
for
even,
you.
yeah. And you know what? The last surah that was written is Surah 9. So you have to start asking yourself, and this is Surah 2, which is actually, believe it or not, the first surah. Because Surah 1, which they pray, is not a surah according to many Islamic scholars. All right?
Exactly.
So you know, the funny thing is, what we learned from reading Sharia is they have to pray the Quran. That would mean they're telling themselves they have to pray the first surah. That would mean they'd be praying this stuff. Oh, now you have to start asking yourself questions. Ooh, is this what they're really doing? And the answer is no, because most of them do not know that Surah 1 is not, the Fatiha is not part of this. So this is a little bit concerning, and people need to pay attention. All right, we're going to keep going here. How about this one? Surely those who became infidels, their money and their children will not profit them and anything against Allah, and those are the fuel of the fire. Oh, so Where's this fire? Surely those who became infidels. Okay, these are people who would have left Islam. Their money and their children will not profit them anything against Allah. So you're going to kill off your own kind who leave. And they're the fuel of the fire. If you become an infidel, let's take a look at it a little deeper. If you are an infidel, your money and children don't profit you. You're all against Allah, and again, you're going to burn in hellfire is what this is saying. All right, here we go. I haven't even gotten to Surah 9. We will cast terror. Wait. Who's saying this? This is Allah. We will cast terror into hearts of those who became infidels because they partner other gods with Allah, which he did not send down with any authority, and their abode is the fire, and evil is the place of the unjust. So Allah is the father of terrorism, which makes him the father of jihad. Oh, we have a problem here, Houston. Those imams, those Muslims who were in the earlier videos were liars. Either that or they're stupid and they've never read the Quran. I would prefer to believe they were stupid. However, they are speaking as authorities, which means they must be purposefully deceiving us. Because remember, if they're at war, war is based on deceit. The only way you win is by deceiving your enemy sometimes. That's part of warfare, and part of Islam is deceiving everyone else because they're at war with. Oh, start thinking about it. It's much worse than you think. That's the thing. I tried to put a lot in here. Be serious about it, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through it. I said, we will see. This is a book I actually have, and this is right out of a book that's made for 7th graders here in the United States. Yahya Emmerich, well known for his roles in the Muslim Brotherhood here in the United States. He wrote this to 7th graders. It's now taught in the United States to 7th graders. I'm sure there's a newer edition. There might be a new cover. But this is what children are learning in the United States who are Muslim, going to madrasas, all right? Islamic schools. However, the word jihad is most often associated with the act of physically confronting evil and wrongdoing. Who are they talking about? The non-Muslim. That's what we learned. Hence, it can be applied to the act of fighting as well. 3:110. But the goal of jihad is not to have a big war, gain riches, or kill people. Isn't that what we just read? But the goal of jihad is not, okay, so they're talking to 7th graders. Maybe they're thinking, okay, they're not ready to go kill. And all right. It's to further the cause of Allah and to create justice on earth. Then when the evil is removed, of the other side wants peace, we are to make peace as well. Wait a minute. When they want to make peace, what do they have to do? They have to pay the jizya. And this is, we're not done yet. See, they're not giving the full story to the children, the 7th graders here in the United States. It goes on. It says a person who engages in jihad is called a mujahid. Oh, so there's some correction for those earlier videos, right? Right out of the 7th grade textbook. Or struggler for Allah. What are you struggling for? Jihad, to kill people. Oh. Allah also explained to us why fighting is sometimes a part of jihad. Here we go. Let those who fight in the cause of Allah, who sell the life of this world for the next life, to the one who fights in the cause of Allah, whether he is killed or achieves victory, we shall soon give him a great reward. And why shouldn't you fight in the cause of Allah? And those who being weak are mistreated, the men, women, and children whose only cry is, our Lord, save us from this land, and whose people are oppressors, and bring to us from you someone who will protect us, and bring us from you someone who will help. Those who believe in the cause of Allah and those who reject faith fight in the cause of evil. So fight against the friends of Satan. Who are the friends of Satan according to this? That's the Jews and the Christians. This is what they're giving and teaching in Islamic schools in the United States for 7th graders. I shudder to think what they gave to higher grades. You can find this book on, I'm pretty sure it's still listed on Amazon. It is all over the place. I picked it up and I was just kind of like, I mean, it's one thing to hear about a book. And when you read this stuff in the book, you got to say like, wait. You're teaching this here in the United States? Yeah, I'm betting they're teaching in Canada. I'm betting they're teaching in the UK. I'm betting they're teaching in Germany, France. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Red, are you home? He might still be on the road. All right. We'll keep going here. The obligatory character of jihad. Jihad is a communal obligation. Notice over here on the right, it's a communal obligation. All right. This means right here it says when enough people perform it to successfully accomplish it, it is no longer obligatory on others. So if you get enough people to create an army and go wage war, great. What happens if you don't? Is there a communal obligation? Notice it says when enough people perform it to successfully accomplish it. When there's not enough people, that means we're ready to go to war. We got to keep that hatred in our heart. Oh. It's considered the first level of jihad. You keep that. Okay, we're still not ready to go to war. There's another level. It's called the pen. Oh. So what are they doing? They're doing dawah, which is considered a form of jihad. All right. They're doing dawah. They're out there to do things. Oh, we're starting to have problems here. Problems. You can't fight and win a war if you don't have enough people. This is extremely important to understand. You don't have enough people, you can't win. All right. When you win, then it's no longer obligatory on others. All right. Keep going here. He who provides the equipment for a soldier in jihad has himself performed jihad. Let's see. I can tell you that almost every week since 2001, there have been people arrested in this country and many European countries, Western nations, I will say, where people have been caught supporting Islamic terrorist groups. Why do they do that? Because they're getting their virgins. They're getting their how many virgins are we talking about? Think about it. 72 virgins? Wait, there's another story behind that. How many they get to keep. They know they have to give some away. That's part of what they've known. That's why they hold a huge party when they die. They're going to war because they know if you can bribe this guy, he gives one of those virgins to you, you get to go, one of these houris to you, you get to go to heaven. That's why they go and bring him candy. Give me one. There's no guarantee a female will get to the Islamic ideal of heaven. Even performing jihad. These are for men. Notice over here, again, this is exact same wording pretty much. Whoever equips a fighter in cause of Allah has indeed fought. All right. And Allah Most High having said, those of the believers who are unhurt but sit behind are not equal. to those who fight in Allah's path with their property and lives. Over here on the right, Allah Most High said, not equal are those believers who sit at home, other than those who are disabled. Disabled because they either have already been at war or they are physically not able. And those who strike this, here we go. Going back over here to the left, Allah has preferred those who fight with their property and lives a whole degree above those who sit behind. And to each, Allah has promised a great good. Let's take a look over here. And those who strive and fight in the cause of Allah with their wealth and their lives. This wealth. What are they supposed to give money towards in Ramadan? Zakat. What usually gets paid during Ramadan? Zakat. Where does the money go? An eighth of it is supposed to go towards jihad, but it's actually more. An eighth of this money. It's supposed to go to jihad. That is Islamic law. All right, so your money, this is what they're talking about, your wealth. Allah has preferred those who fight with their property in the whole degree. This is just, yeah. Let's come down here. If none of those concerned perform jihad, and it does not happen at all, then everyone who is aware that it is obligatory is guilty of sin. So if you live someplace that is nice and peaceful, this is being said according to Sharia to the Muslims in your community. If none of those concerned perform jihad and it doesn't happen, it's still peaceful. Then everyone who was aware that they're not performing jihad is guilty of sin. Remember, I said there's 3 levels of jihad. We're going to get into that very shortly. So this means you must be performing a level of jihad. This is where you have to understand there are different levels of jihad. I'm going to play, in a few minutes, I'm going to play a video that relates to this. And it's very, very important you pay attention. Because we're talking about jihad. We're not talking all about go kill, kill, kill. It is a war. There are unconventional methods of war. There are traditional methods of war. In this country, we have at least, I would say, 75 to 120 organizations made by the Muslim Brotherhood, which has itself declared war against the United States. Now, it's done it multiple times. And you saw it on college campuses where they endorsed their chapter known as Hamas. We have a president who's recognized, hey, you're going to go support a terrorist entity. We want you out of here. He's figured this part out. They're supporting a group that has declared war against us. Let's kick them out.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
Paul, no, it's not there. So I wanted to comment on one of the verses that you mentioned probably like 5-10 minutes ago regarding it is ordained to you that you go and fight the jihad, blah, blah, everyone, unless they're, physically unable to.
Yes.
That verse. Do you know that verse had to be changed? Because there was a blind man. And he said, even me, I was apostle, I am old and blind.
Yep. This is why you see this over here on the right. This is, look, that's why I put this in a little different print. Other than those who are disabled.
Yeah, so Muhammad had to change it, midstreams. And, Allah didn't give me that part. Right. And that's just not the only time. There's all kinds of other instances where someone objects, even me, I was apostle, but I can't have children no more. Oh, right. Except for those that are not in, you know what I mean? It's just, it just forget. Oh, God, it's just.
Yeah, Allah is the God of exception. He can't make a rule that makes sense.
Exactly. And not only that, but this is supposed to be eternal. So what is a mere mortal making the correction? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Again, you're nailing it. Here we go. we're coming down to, I'm just going to look at this yellow. We're done with this part here. It says, if there was a possibility of having performed jihad in the time of the prophet Mo, jihad was a communal obligation after his emigration. Wait. Catch this. You must leave your home, go to someone else's home, and commit an act of war. You don't want to commit an act of war at home. All right, then you got to deal with your sisters, your brothers, your aunts, your uncles, cousins. No. The example's here. It says it right here. After the emigration. Oh, wait a minute. They're saying emigration to Medina. Are you sure you're talking about emigrating? Well, if you go through the Quran, you're going to find several verses. They emigrate and perform jihad. Emigrate and perform jihad. Oh, I think there's actually 8 citations of that. This is, yeah. Remember, you're going someplace to perform jihad. No, you don't want to perform it at home. Hi, Larry. Glad to have you here. As for subsequent times, there are 2 possible states in respect to non-Muslims. Here we go. The first is when they are in their own countries, in which case jihad, that's from Surah 9a, is a communal obligation. And this is what the author is speaking when he says jihad is a communal obligation, meaning upon Muslims, catch this, each year. Oh, is there a time you're not supposed to fight? You know when we're talking about? It's before Ramadan. Ramadan is supposed to be the most blessed month to engage in jihad. You get double blessings. All right, the second state is when non-Muslims invade a Muslim country or near to one, in which case jihad is personally obligatory. So you remember we sent people to fight in Afghanistan. Why? Because they bombed the World Trade Center. Okay, we send people to fight in an Islamic country. All of a sudden you start hearing calls for people to come from all over the world to Afghanistan to fight the Americans who came to an Islamic country. Calls for jihad. Personally obligatory. All right? It's now mandatory on each individual Muslim to go to and take part in jihad. This is the reason why we should not have in any military in the world that is not an Islamic country, Muslims. Because they are then obligated to turn around. Yeah. Again, this personal obligation. You're telling the Muslim they have to go against their religious vows, their religious responsibility. This is a problem. Put them in your military, you're asking for problems, serious problems. All right, look down here. In the red, I wanted to highlight how this is so close. All of this is so close. When infidels enter a Muslim country, jihad is an individual obligation. They're saying personal, individual. There's really not much difference. Individual obligation. You must take part. It's not the same as a communal. You can slough off until someone else wants to do it. Personal, you don't have a choice. This is not exactly fun. It's not pleasant, and it is scary. All right. So this is a piece I put up on my YouTube channel. It's called The Threat Doctrine of the Muslim Brotherhood. You can find it and share it on this channel. Please do share it. This is relatively short, but this explains the 3 different levels. All credit goes to Stephen Coughlin, who did the work on this. He's a great genius, and I owe a lot of what I've learned on this entire topic to him. Oops. Okay, let me rewind that a bit. Sorry about that. Sayyid Qutb, The Milestone Process by Paul Sutliff. Let's give credit where credit is due. This section was taken largely from Stephen Coughlin's Catastrophic Failure, Blindfolding America in the Face of Jihad, published by the Center for Security Policy in 2015. If you've not bought this book, it's an absolute must-buy if you are serious in your desire to learn more about the Muslim Brotherhood. Permission to reprint sections of this book and Coughlin's conclusions were granted. We cannot understand extremist Islam without understanding abrogation, said by Stephen Coughlin in the book Catastrophic Failure. Abrogation comes from Sharia, and this is the process of interpreting the Qur'an. So the rules of abrogation are based on a couple of verses. One says, none of our revelations do we abrogate or cause to be forgotten, but we substitute something better or similar. Knowest thou not that Allah has power over all things? This is from Surah 2:106. And the next one, when we substitute one revolution for another, and Allah knows best what he reveals in stages, they say, thou art but a forger. But most of them understand not. This is Surah 16:101. Stephen Coughlin talks about the importance of abrogation in the milestone process. So to begin to understand Qutb, you have to understand that the Quran was revealed in portions. What was revealed later could change or negate what was said earlier. This is called abrogation, just like we just said a few seconds ago. Coughlin asks, if this is true, if abrogation is valid as law, and if violent jihadi verses abrogate non-violent verses, then why are not all Islamic entities engaged in violent jihad at all times? It's a very important question he poses, something the FBI, the NSA, DHS, and all the alphabet soup agencies should be discussing today. Consider that Surah 9:5 states, so when the sacred months have passed away, then slay the idolaters wherever you find them, and take them captive, and besiege them, and lie in wait for them in every ambush. Then if they repent and keep up the prayer, and pay the poor rate, which is the jizya, leave their way free to them. Surely Allah is forgiving and merciful. Well, Jasser Auda, a writer for a Muslim Brotherhood entity, the International Institute of Islamic Thought, tells us that this verse is thought to abrogate all peaceful verses. This is really important as we get into this. If Surah 9:5 abrogates all peaceful verses, these are the verses that would be abrogated. Surah 2:256, there shall be no compulsion in religion. Repel evil with that which is best. Surah 23:96. So patiently persevere. Surah 30:60. Do not argue with the people of the book except with means that are best. Surah 29:46. Say you have your religion and I have my religion. Surah 109:6. These verses would be nullified. The only thing left would be violent action. Keep this in mind if Surah 9:5 abrogates all peaceful verses. Coughlin's question is now very important to consider if abrogation is important to understanding Islamic extremism. So why aren't all Muslims partaking in violent jihad? Now here's Coughlin's answer. The reason is that threat doctrine based on abrogation orients the Islamic world through what we call the milestone process. The conceptual framework underlying the milestone process forms both the doctrinal foundation of the threat doctrine and the mechanism which drive decision making. In other words, there are different stages. It's okay for the Muslim Brotherhood to be at one stage. It's okay for the Islamic Jihad group to be at another stage. This is what the milestone process is. It's important to understand what Said Qutb's mission and his understanding were at the time of his writing Milestones. He wrote Milestones during the time he was awaiting his execution in an Egyptian prison. Qutb believed there was a need to call the modern Muslim world to return to the true faith, and he saw many Muslims as having backslidden in their Islamic faith. He used the term jahiliyyah. Jahiliyyah is a term used for the state of ignorance that existed before Islam was revealed to their Prophet Muhammad. This time is viewed as a time of primitive savagery, a time of darkness, a time of no enlightenment. This is about Jahiliyyah in the book Milestones. If we look at the sources and foundations of the modern ways of living, it becomes clear that the whole world is steeped in Jahiliyyah, and all the marvelous material comforts and high-level inventions do not diminish this ignorance. This Jahiliyyah is based on the rebellion against Allah's sovereignty on earth. It transfers to man one of the greatest attributes of Allah, namely sovereignty, and makes some men lords over others. It is now not in that simple and primitive of the ancient Jahiliyyah, but takes the form of claiming that the right to create values, to legislate rules of collective behavior, and to choose any way of life rests with men without regard to what Allah Almighty has prescribed. The result of this rebellion is against the authority of Allah. Now, what is he talking about? He's talking about going against, making rules against Sharia, or these rules were not made as in a consultation type forum. So this would make one person lord over another. This becomes problematic. How can a Muslim government stand up to this if they do not have a form of consultation before laws are made? And that would make most Muslim governments full expression of Jahiliyyah. And this is what Qutb points out. Notes that Fatih Khan confirmed this interpretation of Jahiliyyah in the Islamic Movement Problems and Perspectives, which is published by American Trust Publications and ISNA Publishing House. ISNA is the Islamic Society in North America, and ISNA is a Muslim Brotherhood entity in the United States. According to this book, Jahiliyyah applies to all non-Islamic cultures and influences, including modern secular society, and then declared that Islam is a call to a revolution against the manifestation of Jahiliyyah life in all forms. It is a revolution against the Jahiliyyah life in all shapes and forms. It is a revolution against the Jahiliyyah laws and legislation. It combines Jahiliyyah and shirk. Again, shirk is polytheism. This is important to understand, and it explains the vast importance of the concept of Jahiliyyah to terrorists and the Muslim Brotherhood entity. This is what Qutb says in Milestones. The association with God has been either in belief and worship or in accepting the sovereignty of others besides God. Both of these aspects are shirk in the sense that they take human beings away from the religion of God, which was brought by the prophets. After each prophet, there was a period during which people understood this religion, but then gradually later generations forgot it and returned to Jahiliyyah. They started again in the way of shirk, sometimes in their belief and worship, and sometimes in their submission to the authority of others, and sometimes in both. This is extremely important. Again, to Muslims, shirk is unforgivable. So if you put unforgivable and Jahiliyyah together, we've got a whole other ball of wax problems. And you have to pay real close attention as things develop now. So what have we said? In Islam, creating legislative laws are an act of shirk. So why are Muslims trying to become legislators, politicians in Western society? This is important to consider, because if creating legislative laws are an act of shirk, why are they doing this? It is to promote Islamism, to promote Sharia. That is the ultimate reason that they get involved in making legislative laws. Now, it's also true that Qutbah talks about Islam cannot accept or agree to a situation which is half Islam and half jahiliyyah, again, separated from God. Again, you have to ask yourself, why are Muslims trying to get involved in politics if they believe these things? It is to change the government to accept Sharia. That is their sole purpose. And this is extremely important to understand today. So what happens when we combine jahiliyyah and abrogation? Abrogation, again, is such a powerful concept in Islam that Qutbah and others viewed the revelation of Allah to Muhammad as being in stages. This message would change to reflect the evolved and evolving circumstances. Once a new stage was reached, new revelations would then overrule the previous revelations from previous stages. Equating jahiliyyah with shirk excuses hatred to a boiling point against all that is not Islam. Now, what are we getting at? If you combine abrogation and jahiliyyah, think about this. This hatred, this angst against all that is not Allah allows them to act in different stages. So it's okay for the terrorist to act in a certain way because he's at a certain stage. The person who is a civilization jihadist, it's okay for him to act in that manner because that is the stage that he is at in going against jahiliyyah. And this is what we're talking about, where rules change, where things are delivered differently. Now things get specific here. Each stage continues until a milestone is reached. In other words, at the least the Muslim must hold hatred to all jahiliyyah, that is not Islam. When a milestone is reached to act on that hatred using deception or lying to promote Islam, that's okay. That stage works until a milestone brings you into another stage. Coughlin says, as Qutbah's thinking went, if this is how Allah led the first generation, could there be any better way for today's generation? This is the milestone process. Of course, it's directly aligned with the Islamic concept of progressive revelation, the doctrine of abrogation. From the Islamic perspective, Qutbah's reasoning is powerful and persuasive. Milestone establishes the doctrinal baseline that permits synchronization both with the Muslim Brotherhood as well as across the entire Salafi jihadi spectrum, including Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Given this information, what is Qutbah's concept of an end stage? What does he think of the perfect, final stage if you're at the end of the milestone process? And this is what he has to say. Whenever an Islamic community exists, which is a concrete example of the divinely ordained system of life, once it's gotten to the top of the milestones, it has a God-given right to step forward and take control of the political authority so that it may establish the divine system on earth, while it leaves the matter of belief to individual conscience. When God restrained Muslims from jihad for a certain period, it was a question of strategy rather than of principle. This was a matter pertaining to the requirements of the movement and not to belief. Only in the light of this explanation can we understand those verses of the Holy Qur'an, which are concerned with the various stages of this movement. I hope you're catching what I'm talking about here. This is rather, unfortunately, scary. Reality is not always what we want. And this is, I would say, uncomfortable. We're talking about jihad, and I'm showing you how jihad is very, very real and how this is playing out. Now, this is how you have to look at it. This is not a game, people. And I just have to do something quickly here. Get too many things on the screen. Here we go. All right, I'll do this one more time. All right. All right, getting this is joy of controlling too many different things at the same time. So I apologize. We'll get back here. This is it's sad when you start to see how all of this plays out. It's a lot. It's not what you actually want sometimes. Here we go. Present. We'll get this back up just a second. All right. So this is the dangers. We've been talking about jihad, and we've looked at what their great scholar, Sayyid Qutb, said, Muslim Brotherhood scholar says, and this explains why you do not see Muslims everywhere taking up arms in some sense or going to violent jihad. It's because they're at different stages, but they must be at jihad in the heart at the bare minimum. This was revealed in the the fatwa of 1914. I have to double check. 1915 fatwa. Anybody wants a copy of the 1915 fatwa, you can write to me, abaran_research@yahoo.com. I will send it to you. All right. That's a simple thing. All right, let me get through this. On the left, it says jihad is also personally obligatory for everyone able to perform it, male or female, old or young. When the enemy has surrounded the Muslims on every side, having entered our territory, even if the land, okay, now we're talking about that second type of jihad. The first type is you go kill them. You go to their land, you emigrate, you do this. This is the second type of jihad. When they invade, when the non-Muslim invades. Okay. Now it's personally obligatory. For non-Muslims forces, I'm going to skip this. On every side having entered our territory, even if the land consists of ruins, wilderness, mountains, for non-Muslim forces entering Muslim lands is a weighty matter that cannot be ignored, but must be met with effort and struggle to repel them. Again, struggles that word jihad. To repel them by every possible means, all of which is, if conditions permit, gathering. Oh, conditions permit gathering. Oh, so you get enough people together to commit an act of war. Yes. If conditions do not permit this, as when the enemy has overrun the Muslims such that they are unable to provision or prepare themselves for war, then whoever is found by a non-Muslim and knows he will be killed if captured is obliged to defend himself in whatever way possible. But if not certain that he will be killed, meaning that he might or might not be, as when he might merely be taken captive. Start thinking about the Israelis when they take captives. The Israelis do this because they love life. Why are the jihadis willing to be taken captive? Pay close attention here. All right, this is where you have to start. It says, if not certain that he'll be killed, meaning that he might or might not be, is when he might be taken captive and he knows that he will be killed if he doesn't surrender, then he may either surrender or fight. A woman too has a choice between fighting or surrendering. If she is certain that she will not be subject to an indecent act if captured, if uncertain that she will be safe from such an act, she is obliged to fight, and surrender is not permissible. So if a woman, this is something to think about. When the Israelis capture a female, the Muslima is obligated to fight to the death if she believes she's going to be raped. If she doesn't fight to the death, she's saying, these people won't rape me. This is an obligation on her. All right, here we go. Now we're getting into who is obliged to fight in jihad. All of this. I'm so happy to see you, Darcy. Hope you're doing okay and enjoying the workday. Here we go. We're up to 9.4. Those called upon to perform jihad when it is communal obligation are every able-bodied man who has reached puberty and is sane. The following may not fight in jihad. Pay real close attention to who they say can't fight. Someone in debt, unless his debtor gives him leave. Okay, let's think about that. Okay, this guy owes you 20 grand. If he goes to fight in jihad and he dies, are you getting the 20 grand back? No. Do you understand their reasoning? Or someone with at least one Muslim parent until they give their permission. So this is how I will admit part of this is my interpretation on the right. It says, nor Muslim, here I'm putting this, who has started puberty, because they don't consider you an adult. You're a child. You can, as soon as you get your first hair on your pubic hair, Muslims consider you an adult. Think about the difference in ages here for females and males when this happens. So if you have your first pubic hair, you can fight. You might need parental permission. Yeah. And then it says, unless the time limit has been met, in which case is permissible. So you do or you don't. So you notice this each time. If you get permission, you're okay. If you get permission, you're okay. And then it says, if you're surrounded by the enemy, you don't need permission. So there's all these excuses to not get permission. 9.6. It's offensive to conduct a military expedition against a hostile non-Muslim without the caliph's permission. That's what it says in the left. Though if there is no caliph, no permission is required. Let's take a look what it says on the right. It's disliked to wage war without the permission of the imam. Oh, did they say caliph? No. Oh, who has the authority here? Your local mosque leader, your local masjid leader has permission to declare jihad. Now, are you concerned? What's happening at your local mosque? I'm reading from Sharia. I'm reading from their sources. All right, and this is the translation, the Google translation. This is their translation written for other Muslims who don't speak Arabic. This is, yeah. Start thinking. Yeah. The local imams can declare war on each other. They can declare war on you. They can declare war on your local government. They can declare war on the United States or wherever you are. This is important to grasp. All right, 9.7. Muslims may not seek help from non-Muslims unless the Muslims are considerably outnumbered and the allies are of goodwill towards the Muslims. Yeah. Over here, he may not seek the help of a polytheist. Okay, they consider the Jews polytheists. They consider the Christians polytheists. If you're not a Muslim, you're considered a polytheist. Oh, you can't get help from anyone who's not Muslim. Don't expect any help. Here we go, the objectives. Here we go. The Caliph makes war upon Jews, Christians, and Zoroastrians, provided he has first invited them to enter Islam in faith and practice. And if they will not, then inviting them to enter the social order of Islam by paying the non-Muslim poll tax, jizya, which is the significance of their paying it. Not the money itself, while remaining in their ancestral religions. Look at, you pay jizya to stay alive for another year. And when you pay jizya, you get down and you're kneeling and they strike you on the back of your neck. Not lightly, extremely hard. There's a lot of recordings of this. Some of them, the late 1800s, early 1900s. This is not a joke, people. Yeah, the significance they're paying it. And the war continues until they become Muslim. Oh, wait a minute. I thought they were going to protect them. People say dhimmis are protected. Let's read this again. The war continues. Wait, are dhimmis protected, or is there a war continuing against them? Well, according to Sharia, the dhimmis still have war against them until they become Muslim or pay that tax. The minute they stop paying that tax, guess what? Yeah. And are they protected? You ever heard of, I mean, you watch the Muslims and you start thinking about the mafia guys who do this protection racket. Yeah, this is the same thing. So you're paying the guy not to kill you. That's exactly what we're talking about. Quran 9:29, on the right it says, engage in war with those who do not believe in Allah, nor in the last day, nor forbid what Allah and his messenger forbid, nor believe in the religion of the truth among those who have been given the book until they pay the jizya out of hand and they are subdued. That's Surah 9:29. The time and place for which is before the final destination of Isa. Yeah, I don't like them calling this Jesus. This is Isa. And here we go. This was, look over here on the right, what it says. See if you think it matches up. This was before the descent of Isa. Peace be upon. As for what follows, it will not be accepted from them. Oh, wait, there's scriptures. So the Christians are not allowed to follow their beliefs. They believe this guy named Isa, who is not Jesus, will strike the Christians. Well, Jesus is God. Isa may not be. I'd rather do whatever Jesus tells me. But again, we're talking about Islamic law, Islamic belief. This is not what we want to believe, but it is what Islam requires. To go against this, to go against one little bit of the law here, is to make yourself an apostate. We've already gone over apostasy. We've already covered that in a previous edition. You want to go back and watch the section on apostasy if you don't believe me. It says that if you're not accepting one piece of this law, not accepting one piece of the hadith, not accepting one piece of the Quran, you're guilty of apostasy, which means you have left Islam, and they can kill you for it. So they can kill anyone they say has left Islam. Yes. Oh, I wish it wasn't so, but that's what they believe. And I'm getting it right straight from their own books. So So I'm not making anything up here. I might wish I was, but it's here. Let's keep going. Final coming. Nothing but Islam will be accepted from them, for taking the poll tax is only effective until Isa's descent, which is the divinely revealed law of Muhammad. Wait a minute. Isa's descent is divinely revealed law of Muhammad? Does that make sense to you? The coming of Isa does not entail a separate divinely revealed law, for he will rule by the law of Muhammad. I'm a little confused here. Isa's supposed to be God, and you got some guy who won't even perform a miracle in front of anyone, and his name is Muhammad. And he says he's only a warner. That's why he doesn't do things. He's just a warner. He says, I am the last. There will be no prophet after me. Okay. I haven't seen you prophesy anything except your own death. But yeah. This does not contradict the final coming of Isa, since he will not rule according to the evangel, but as followers of our prophet. Really, coming of Isa. Well, Isa came long before this concept of Muhammad. Who's leading here? Things we should be asking. All right, let's keep going. 9.9. On the left, you may want to read the right while I'm doing this. The Caliph fights all other peoples until they become Muslim, because they are not a people with a book. All other people. So if you're not Christian, you're not Jewish, you're not Zoroastrian, what are they obligated to do? Kill you. You can't pay the jizya. So if you're an atheist, yep, kill you. If you're a polytheist, yep, kill you. Oh. If you're Hindu, yep, kill you. This is what it's saying. You're a Buddhist. Oh. You know, one of the most bloodiest, longest battles and wars in history is the Muslim conquest of India. They killed so many. The Muslims got tired of killing the Hindus. They asked for a special compensation to allow them to stop killing the Hindus, and they eventually got it. But it was a long time coming. It's here, people. This is what it says. It is word for word. According to the Hanafi school, peoples of all other religions, even idol worshippers, are permitted to live under the protection of the Islamic law if they either become Muslim or agree to pay the poll tax. This is much later. Yeah. These things become law and accepted. The Hanafis accept this after the conquest of India, the Islamic conquest. Yeah. This should be shocking people. Now we get to the rules of warfare. How are Muslims supposed to carry this war out? And how does this compare to the United States rules of engagement? Rules of warfare. Says it right here, 9.10. It's not permissible to kill women or children unless they are fighting against the Muslims, nor is it possible to kill animals unless they are being ridden into battle against the Muslims, or if killing them will help defeat the enemy. It's permissible to kill old men. Meaning someone more than 40 years of age and monks. Oh, I can be killed. I'm over 40. It's not permissible to kill women and children unless they're fighting. What are they trying to do? Kill off the men so they can't have more children. They can take their women and their children, and yes, you can imagine from there. They will have sex slaves. That is part of the purpose of jihad. You only can have sex slaves if they have jihad. 09.11. It is unlawful to kill a non-Muslim to whom a Muslim has given his guarantee of protection, whether the non-Muslim is one or more than one, providing the number is limited and the Muslim protecting them doesn't harm them. Excuse me. Doesn't harm the Muslim, as when they are spies, provided the protecting Muslim has reached puberty, is sane and does so voluntarily, and is not a prisoner of them or a spy. On the right, it says, it is forbidden to kill him, whether he's an Ahmadi or more, providing the number is limited and that his security does not cause harm to the Muslim, as in the case of a spy. They're not saying very nice things about the Ahmadis. 9.12. Whoever enters Islam before being captured may not be killed, or his property confiscated, or his young children taken captive. Your young children taken captive. This was a standard Islamic practice. To take your children. What would they do with your daughters? What would they do with your young boys? With young boys, what they used to do is castrate them and recruit them into a military branch. Yeah. They became jihadis. They were brainwashed. Yeah. The children that were female become sex slaves, become prostitutes. When a child or a woman is taken captive, they become slaves by the fact of capture, and the woman's previous marriage is immediately annulled. People, this is what Usama keeps telling us. Sex slaves only happen when you're caught in a war. Okay, you're in a Muslim's cab and you're in a Western part of the world, and if he's at that stage of the game of he's playing this game, he's at the stage of the game, I'm saying a milestone process where he's willing to commit an act of jihad. Ladies, don't get in the van, don't get in the Uber, don't get in. Why? Because do you know where that Muslim is in on the milestone process? In England, for the last 50 years, they have been allowing the molestation of women. No, not of women, but of young female girls. Young females. Young. It gets pretty young when you start looking into this. It gets grosser the more you learn. And this is an example. This is a form of war, these actions. It's right here in the law. Notice it does say over here on the right, if a boy or woman is taken prisoner, they are exalted by the slavery itself, and their marriage is annulled. Boy. They're talking about sex with these guys. So you can sexually abuse a boy sexually abuse a woman because they're now sex slaves. This is the prisoner part. See, it says they're exalted by slavery. Even if the woman was married, the capture annuls their marriage and allows them to rape. This is right out of the Sharia. This is why I say, you people out there who are CIA, FBI, NSA, DHS, wake up, smell the coffee. Stop pretending. You're destroying this country. You're destroying whatever country you're in by not learning this, by not acting on this information. 09.14. When an adult male is taken captive, the caliph, over on the right, or the imam, caliph is a deputy over all of Islam. Imam's just leading a local masjid, local mosque. The caliph, the imam, considers the interests of Islam and Muslims and decides between the prisoner's death, slavery, and release without paying anything or ransoming himself in exchange for money or for a Muslim captive held by the enemy. So you can do a prisoner exchange. Okay. You can sell him. Killing, enslavement, favor. You can give him away for favors. You can rent him out. Yeah. If he converts to Islam, before the imam chooses any of the four alternatives, then he may not be killed, and one of the other three alternatives is there. Oh, so he gets enslavement. He gets some kind of favor, or he can be sold, ransomed. He can be, somebody can bribe you to set him free. This is Islam. It's their law. It's not mine. Maybe not yours. But as we've seen, everything that the Muslims said at the beginning of this show were lies, deceit. This is why you do not trust Muslims to tell you about Islam. You can trust ex-Muslims in general, but you still have to be watchful because there's a huge amount of deceit here. 09.15. It's permissible in jihad to cut down the enemy's trees and destroy their dwellings. Now, let's look at the rules of engagement for the U.S. military. This is off a basic officer course. It's just a supplement. It's a card sample. All right. ROE means rules of engagement. It says on order of military and paramilitary forces declared hostile may be attacked subject to the following instructions. Okay. So you may be able to attack people if they're identified as hostile. So what do you have to do? You have to positively ID them. All right. It's required prior to arrangement. This positive ID is reasonable certainty that the target is a legitimate military target. If no positive ID, contact your commander for a decision. All right. Kind of makes sense. You don't want to kill your friend, especially if it's somebody you haven't met yet that would be working with you and supporting you. All right. B, do not engage anyone who has surrendered or is out of battle due to sickness or wounds. See anything like that before for Islam? No. If they're not engaged in the battle, they don't become sex slaves. No. Third rule here, do not strike any of the following except in self-defense to protect yourself, your unit, friendly forces, and designated persons or property under your control. Civilians. in Islam, are there any civilians on their side or your side? The answer is no. This is why they have no problem doing the opposite, right? We say you have to protect hospitals, mosques, churches, shrines, schools, museums, national monuments, and other historical. What is happening with Hamas and Hezbollah and all these terrorist organizations? Where do they set up and do operations from? Hospitals, mosques, yes, schools. Now you know why they can do it. It's allowed under their plan. They can say they, agree to this for the purpose of deception. We can't play that game and consider us human. Again, rules of engagement, staying on the card. Do not fire into civilian populated areas or buildings unless the enemy is using them for military purposes, or if necessary for self-defense. Minimize collateral damage. All right. You have someone firing at you from a school. There just happens to be kids in the school. Are you going to take out the whole school building? No. You take out that person. Means you got to have a sniper someplace. You got to have somebody that has the ability to take out that one little spot. A lot of places now have those kind of people that can do those kind of things. But being careful. This is such a huge restraint. I don't think people realize how much many militaries fight to cut down the cost of collateral damage. I mean, basically, you don't want to take out the good guy when you're taking out the bad guy. That's collateral damage. Here we go. Do not target enemy infrastructure, public works, commercial communications, facilities, dams, lines of communication, roads, highways, tunnels, bridges, railways, economic objects like commercial storage facilities, pipelines, unless necessary self-defenses. I don't think you have a choice when it's a tunnel. And it's only made to support a military effort against you. Is it infrastructure or is it a military surplus venue? Hey, I don't consider infrastructure for the people. The use of force, including deadly force, is authorized to protect the following: yourself, your unit, and friendly forces. Enemy prisoners of war. Catching that? You have to protect your enemy prisoners of war. Civilians from crimes that are likely to cause death or serious bodily harm, such as murder and rape. Oh, so you may kill someone who's trying to rape someone you encounter. English, wake up. Protect your own citizens. Designated civilians and property, such as personnel of the Red Cross, so you don't want to hurt the people who are supposed to be helping you. Treat all civilians and their property with respect and dignity. Do not seize civilian property, including vehicles, unless you have the permission of the company level commander. We play a tough game. We'll follow these rules, but our enemy is not playing this game. Looting and taking of war trophies are prohibited. Think about this. This is on the back of their card. Attack enemy forces, military agents. Spare civilian and civilian property. Conduct yourself with dignity and honor. Comply with the law of war. If you see a violation, report it. The rules of engagement will remain in effect until your commander orders you to transition to post-hostilities rules of engagement. We play a pretty serious game on this. This is not... Islam does not play by these rules. This is why it's very, very difficult for some people when they come back who have served. They're going to give a gun to a 6-year-old to shoot you. They're going to pick up a 5-year-old and put him in front of himself as a defense mechanism to defend themselves. We've seen this happen with Hamas, and we sit there going, how could you do that? It's a good question. Here we go. The truce. 9.16. As for truces, the author does not mention them. In sacred law, in Sharia, I'm just going to skip down to the bottom. A reconciliation between people at war to stop fighting for a specific period in exchange for compensation or otherwise. The basis for it is the Most High saying, as a declaration of immunity from Allah and his messenger, and is saying, if they incline to peace, then incline to it. Qur'an 861. Start thinking about this. What is the reason for peace we're talking about? Did you see a reason for peace? Cessation of fighting. Oh, you're not seeing a reason yet. Why would they accept it? Here we go. As well as the truce which the prophet made with the Quraysh in the year of Hudaybiyah, as related by Bukhari, a Muslim. There was a truce made not long ago by Yasser Arafat and Israel. When the truce was made, Yasser Arafat came out and said, we made a truce with the Hudaybiyah. We had that kind of deal. Oh, so what did Muhammad do with that? He broke the truce when he felt strong. Oh, this is the entire reasoning you can't trust Islam to give you an honest answer about a truce. You can never do that. Their truces are dependent on that. If they're weak, okay. The moment they get strong, they're willing to fight you back. This is in their law. Think about it. You can only have a truce if you're weak. It's in their law. Okay, here we go. We're getting close to the end. It says interests that justify making truce are such things as Muslim weakness. Here I'm going. Because of a lack of number or material, or the hope of an enemy becoming Muslim, for the Prophet made a truce in the year Mecca was liberated with Sutliffian ibn Umayyah for 4 months in hope that he would become Muslim, and he entered Islam before its time was up. If the Muslims are weak, a truce may be made for 10 years if necessary. For the Prophet made a peace with the Quraysh for that long. Did he keep it? No. It's not permissible to stipulate longer than that, save by means of new truces. So a Muslim who's keeping to Sharia will never make a peace with you for more than 10 years if they're following Sharia. If they say they're going to make peace with you for longer, be suspect. Do not trust. This is their laws. This is what they say they believe in. You have to accept them for what they're saying. People who follow this faith structure have to follow this to the letter. They're not allowed to second guess. Let's keep going. And okay. I found this interesting. Egyptian-German scholar Hamed Abdul Samad, founder of the Muslim Brotherhood, admired Hitler. He modeled it on the Nazi Party in the West.
تواجد الإخوان في الغرب قديم، بدأ بهروب الحاج أمين الحسيني من العراق. ساعتها كان مفتي القدس ساعتها، وهو كان على تواصل مع حسن البنا اللي هو مؤسس الإخوان المسلمين. سافر على برلين وتحالف مع هتلر وأسس له يعني فرقتين عسكريتين من المقاتلين المسلمين، في حوالي 100,000 مقاتل مسلم، وارتكبوا مجازر في الحرب العالمية الثانية. هتلر عمل للحاج أمين الحسيني ساعتها راديو في برلين، ويوجه بقى بروباجندا نازية لمصر وكذا. وحسن البنا نفسه ابتدى يعمل في مصر بروباجندا لهتلر، ويقول إنه أسلم وإنه هو دلوقتي اعتنق الإسلام، ولما هيجي يهاجم الإنجليز في مصر مش هيدمر المساجد وهكذا. وحاجة حسن البنا طبعا كان معجب جدا بهتلر وتجربته، ونقل التجربة بتاعة الحزب النازي تقريبا لحركة الإخوان المسلمين، من حيث الفكرة اللي هو الحزب الذي يتسلح بميليشيا عسكرية، ومن حيث الأفكار القائد الملهم المخلص، وحتى اسم فيورر الألماني اللي هو بتاع هتلر ترجمه حرفيا المرشد، هي ترجمة حرفية لكلمة فيورر الألمانية. يبعت كوادر من أبناء الإخوان للأحزاب السياسية في ألمانيا وفي النمسا. يأسس أكاديمية في النمسا اسمها جميل جدا، الأكاديمية الإسلامية لتأهيل الأئمة ومدرسي الدين الإسلامي، فيسيطروا على المدارس وعلى الأئمة. يأسس في ألمانيا معهد جامعي اسمه المعهد الأوروبي للدراسات الإنسانية، وتخش تلاقيهم بقى بيمجدوا في حسن البنا وبيدرسوا كتب الشيخ القرضاوي. فحاجة عجيبة جدا، هم عرفوا إزاي يستخدموا المصطلحات الحقيقية، فما عادش يقول لك جهاد، ما عادش يقول لك شريعة، يقول لك تعايش، يقول لك احتواء، يقول لك يعني تسامح. فهو بيوزع الأدوار، لكن هو مازال عنده شبكة مالية مهولة جدا بتدعم مساجد في منتهى التطرف، لأنه هو يهمه أن يكون المتطرفين تحت إيده والليبراليين تحت إيده.
So we are towards the end, and I'm just going to close that out for now. And trying to get back to the screen here. Just a second. I keep forgetting it. I switched to a non-touch screen, so forgive me. We're at the end. I am trying to show you that jihad is real. It comes in different forms, and we have to be very, very cautious. Why? Because if we just accept that the whole concept of jihad, warring against the non-Muslim, means killing, we're not being wise. Their own books, their own sayings, when they're talking to each other, yes, they emigrate to perform jihad. How are they doing that? Well, they're trying to take over the government to make more politicians. I just heard a speech the other day about this, where they're bragging about having a couple hundred here to do this and that. How about this one? I'm going to share one more with you, one more video. This was across the pond for me. When I say across the pond, I mean this happened. To actually stand up. This happened when I say across the pond in Toronto. And I want you to think about this happening in your neighborhood. And now what I'm going to play for you is a person who swears he was contacted by the Hamas. Start thinking about this. He swears he was contacted by Hamas to do something. Is this an act of jihad? I want you to be the judge.
Our resistance in Gaza. They have called us to actually stand up and speak up and have a night of rage for what is happening in Gaza today.
He says he was contacted by Hamas. He says that. And what did the police do? Nothing. Are they obligated to act? Absolutely. You have people acting and communicating with a terrorist entity. Toronto is right across the pond from me. Lake Ontario being the pond. And yet the police in Toronto did nothing to protect their own citizens' national security needs. They allowed this to continue. Would they act if their own citizens declared war on them? Would they act if their own... I have too many questions about this. Was this an act of jihad? Absolutely. When we talk about jihad, we have to keep in mind we're talking about Cuppa's milestone process. That's why you don't see all the Muslims acting violently. This is where Stephen Coughlin's work is so important. We have to keep these things in mind. Now, I'm going to say this. If you want to support the ministry that I'm doing here, this Christian apologetics, sharing the truth about what is taught in Islam, my suggestion is to go to Amazon and pick up a book that I've written. I write devotionals. I'm hoping to get my books into stores. So if you find a local store that's interested, a Christian bookstore that's interested in putting things out, please, I can make the arrangements for wholesale prices. So tell them to contact me. I'm working on getting more venues to do that, but I'm pretty easy to find through LinkedIn and other means. We have to fight, people. We have to make sure that you are informed. We can't allow this to continue. It's scary. Most of Europe is gone. For all the news I'm sharing every week with Usama and every week with so many people, it's scary. This week there was a story where a Muslim woman, I think it was Uganda, killed a woman and her husband because she took her daughter, her 18-year-old daughter, who went with her willingly, to her church. She was invited to go. The 18-year-old chose to go. The woman not only killed her neighbor and her husband, she killed her own daughter because she poisoned the food that she gave her daughter to share with them, and didn't tell her daughter. Her daughter had some of that food and died. All she cared about was getting the reward from Allah for killing the non-Muslim. And now all she wants is that reward. She misses her daughter, but she wants that reward. This stuff that we're reading about in Sharia. God bless everybody. Thank you for listening. Please share this out. Please put something in the text message, on the messages below. Please share something. I think this is important stuff. If you can get this out to the FBI, anybody, please do this, because, and your local pastors, they're not informed. I'm willing to go speak as well. I have a lot of free time coming up. So please, if you find somebody that wants to hear what I'm presenting, let me know. I'll do whatever I can. God's provided for me, so I can pretty much go. God bless you all. You have a wonderful night. Thank you all.